What up, though? It's Math Guy Steve. So today we're continuing our MGS Calculus Camp. And last lesson we started talking a little bit about derivatives, okay? And the big idea was this. The derivative tells us a slope or a rate of change at some point. So today we're going to slow that idea down a little bit. Talk about the difference between the average rate of change and the instantaneous rate of change. Because before we get into the derivative rules for real, we need to understand what the derivative is actually measuring. So here's our big idea for today, okay? Average rate of change measures the change over an interval. Instantaneous rate of change measures the change at an exact point. So the average rate of change uses two x values. Instantaneous rate of change gives us what the derivative is at one x value. All right, let's get to it. So before we talk about instantaneous rate of change, let's talk about the average rate of change. Average rate of change is really just a slope. That's all it is. It's the change in y over the change in. So if we have 2 points in the graph, we just find a slope, the line that goes between those 2 points. Now, if that function is curved there, then the line connecting the 2 points on that curve, that's called a secant line. So the average rate of change is really the slope of the secant line, okay? But the formula is the same. Change in y over the change in, or f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Again, that's just a slope. So let's try an example. So this first example says, find the average rate of change of f of x equals x squared from x equals 1 to x equals 3. So, again, if we think about the slope, right, m is the slope, which again we said was our average rate of change. AROC for short, right, okay, average rate of change, all right. Then, that's just, again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or f of b minus f of a divided by b minus a. So, again, changing y, we're changing x now. In this question, they give us the x's, they give us the b minus a, right? Let's say this is b and this is the a, okay? They give us those parts, we know how to plug those in. We need to find the f of b and f of a, meaning plug those x values into the function. That'll give us f of b and f of a, okay? So here, f of b would be, right, f of 3. In this case, it would be 3 squared, so 9, okay? F of a would be of 1, which is 1 squared, so that's 1. And so we have f of b, f of a, b, and a. Let's plug it in, okay. So our slope, our average rate of change would be here, f of b, so 9 minus f of a, which is 1, over b, which is 3, and then a, which is 1. So simplifying that, we get this is just 8 divided by 2, so that's 4. And so there's our average rate of change. There's a slope of our secant line between these two x values. Okay, let's try the second one. This one says find the average rate of change of f of x equals 2x plus 5 from x equals 0 to x equals 4. So we do a similar thing. Again, our average rate of change, our AROC, is just a slope, right? And so the slope formula we know is, okay, f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Again, this time they give us the x equals 0 and x equals 4. That is the b and a, okay? So let's call this one the b, call this one the a, all right? Well, we need to find f of b and f of a as well. So let's find it, okay? Just plug those into the f function. So f of b, in this case, would be f of 4. That would be 2 times 4 plus 5, which is 8 plus 5, so 13, all right? F of a, in this case, would be f of 0, okay? So that's 2 times 0 plus 5, that's 0 plus 5, which is 5, all right? So we got f of b, f of a, we got b, we got a, plug them in, all right? So f of b here would be the 13, f of a would be the 5 over b minus a, so that's 4 minus 0, and so we get, this is 8 over 4, so 2. So that would be our slope of our secant line, our average rate of change between these two x values on this function. Now, something to note is that we were saying the average rate of change, or in other words, a slope. This was a line. This function is a line, right? F of x equals 2x plus 5 is a line, meaning it has a slope. Notice the slope is 2. And so that would be the average rate of change on any point on this line, okay? No matter what points we pick, right? The average rate of change is going to be 2 because it's just a line. Again, when it's curved is when we have, okay, I need to find the slope of the secant line, right? But the only secant line to this line is this line itself because it is already a line. Okay, so it's really not secant, it's already a line. That's the point. So let's try a real life version. This one says a car travels 150 miles in 3 hours. Find the average speed. So, as you would think, the average speed is the distance divided by the time. So you have to find the average speed, distance, over time. In this case, the distance was 150 miles. The time was 3 hours. And so if we want to find the average speed, we just divide those numbers. And so 150 divided by 3, we get 50 miles per hour. Now again, let's be careful. Notice it's the average speed, right? That doesn't mean the car is going exactly 50 miles per hour the entire time. Sometimes it may be going 45 miles per hour. Sometimes it may be going 60 miles per hour. Sometimes it might be at a stoplight, right? And so it's just stopped at 0 miles per hour. But overall, across the entire 3-hour trip, it's going on average 50 miles per hour. And again, that's what the average rate of change is, right? It tells us what's happening over some interval. Okay, so now let's connect that to the instantaneous rate of change. So instantaneous rate of change is saying what is the rate doing at exactly one moment. For example, instead of saying what's the average speed, we say, okay, well, what's the car doing at exactly 2:15 p.m.? Or what's the slope of the curve at exactly x equals 2? This is what derivatives are really trying to measure. But here's the problem. The slope normally needs 2 points. So how do we find the slope at 1 point? The idea is this. We use 2 points that are very close to each other. And then we let the points get even closer and closer and closer and closer. This is where the limits came in that we talked about earlier in the camp. So now let's look at a different function, okay? F of x equals x squared near x equals 2. This one says for f of x equals x squared, compute the slope of the secant line from x equals 2.5. So again, doing the same thing we just did, okay? So we say, okay, again, that slope, that average rate of change, our A rock is our slope, which is just f of b minus f of a over b minus a. So again, here x equals b and x equals a. We got those given. Let's find the f of b and f of a, right? Now we find it, plug those numbers in. So f of b here is going to be f of 2.5, which would be 2.5 squared, which is 6.25. All right. F of a here would be f of 2, which would be 2 squared, so just 4. Okay, so we got all the parts, plug them in, got it. So, okay, f of b, 6.25, minus f of a, so minus over b, 2.5, minus a, which is 2. That gives me what? 0.25 over 0.5, which is 2.25 times 2, so 0.5. Okay, so there's my average rate of change between 2 and 2.5 for this x squared function. Okay, let's get the points even closer. This one says, for f of x equals x squared, compute the slope of the secant line, or the average rate of change, from x equals 2 to x equals 2.1. Okay, we stepping it up, all right? So same thing. Our average rate of change, or our slope of our secant line, okay, is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Okay, here's our b, here's our a. Plug those in, same steps. So f of b here is f of 2.1, which is 2.1 squared, in other words, 4.41. Okay, f of a is just f of 2, so that's again 2 squared, which is 4. All right, so if I plug them in, we see, okay, that's 4.41 minus over 2.1 minus 2. That gives me what? 0.41 divided by 0.1, which is 0.41 times 10, so 4.1, okay? All right, so our previous one was 4.5. We got closer, the points got closer, we got 4.1. You might see what this is possibly approaching, like a limit. Well, let's get even closer. This one says for f of x equals x squared, compute the slope of the secant line from x equals 2, that equals 2.01. All right, okay. Again, same steps. Our average rate of change is, again, our slope of our secant line. All right, which is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Okay, same steps. Here is b, here is a. Got it. We got to plug those in to find f of b, f of a. We say, okay, f of b is f of 2.01, which is 2.01 squared. So that gives me 4.0401. Okay, f of a is f of 2, same thing, we get 2 squared, which is 4, okay? So plugging them in, we get 4.0401 minus 4 over b minus a, so 2.01 minus 2, all right? So that's 0.0401 divided by 0.01. So this is 0.0401 times 100, right? So move the decimal place 2 places over, we get, this is 4.01. Okay, let's compare. So from x equals 2 to x equals 2.5, our slope was 4.5. All right. From x equals 2 to x equals 2.1, we got closer. Our slope was 4.1. From x equals 2 to x equals 2.01, our slope was 4.01. So as that second x value gets closer to 2, again, from the right, like our limits, it looks like the slope is approaching 4, approximately. So let's answer this question then. Based on problems 4 through 6, what numbers does the slope seem to approach as the x value gets closer to 2? So as we saw, as gets closer to 2 from the right, the slope gets closer to 4. At least seemingly, right? That's what it seems to be approaching. So that instantaneous rate of change is probably 4. Or we can say the derivative of f of x at x equals 2 is 4. Remember, the derivative is the instantaneous rate of change. This makes sense because later we'll learn that the derivative of x squared is 2x. So plugging in x equals 2, we get 4. But for now, don't focus on those rules, okay? I want us to see the idea that we're approaching. The derivative comes from taking the average rates of changes and letting that second point get closer and closer and closer to the first point. That's why derivative just depend on the limits. Okay, last question. Concept check. Okay, what's the difference between average rate of change and instantaneous rate of change? The average rate of change measures the rate over an interval, and it uses two x values. It's also the slope of the secant line, as we pointed out, whereas the instantaneous rate of change measures the rate at one exact x value. And this is the slope of the tangent line. Instantaneous rate of change, we call that the derivative. So if someone says average rate of change, think the slope of the secant line. If they say instantaneous rate of change, think the slope at one exact point. And that's the slope of the tangent line. That's the key difference. So here's our big takeaway from lesson 6. Average rate of change, slope over an interval. Instantaneous rate of change, slope at one exact point. Average rate uses a secant line. Instantaneous rate uses a tangent line. And the reason the limits matter is because we find instantaneous rate by letting the points get closer and closer together. And this is how we go from the average rate of change to the derivative. All right, so that's lesson 6 of our MGS Calculus Camp. Today we talk about average rate of change versus instantaneous rate of change. In the next lesson, we're going to formalize this idea of the limit definition of the derivative. That's where we actually use the limit formula to find the derivative. As always, keep practicing. Again, calculus gets a lot easier if you understand what the graph is doing. Always remember, math is everywhere. Have a good one.